Good afternoon. Good afternoon, kings and queens of the land. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, the royals. Good afternoon to the liberated zones of Africa, Burkina Faso, under the leadership of President Ibrahim Traore, Captain Ibrahim Traore. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to Mali under the leadership of President Asim Goita. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to Niger under the leadership of President Abdurrahman Tian. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, the liberated zone in South Africa, KZN, under the leadership of the MK Party, under the leadership of the Supreme Leader of Black People, President Jacob Geleshegisa Zuma. Good afternoon, capable leadership of the MK Party. Good afternoon. My name is Ngonim Konto. This is the Royal Opinion. Today we're talking about the speech, President Zuma's speech at the Gala Dinner, revealing some of very, very important information in this regard. Make this thing like this. President Zuma revealing very important information in the Gala Dinner. That's what we're talking about today. Ghana has a new president, John Mahama, John Dramani Mahama is the new president of Ghana. But I heard him already talking about aligning their programs to the IMF. Um, Meaning there won't be any changes in Ghana. There won't be any changes. We should not expect any changes. They have managed to put their puppet in place in Ghana. John Mahama, Dramani Mahama, is the new president of Ghana. He is actually a returning president. Very, very, I would say, very amazing kind of trend, which is happening these days. Previous presidents coming back to rule. John Dramani Mahama, former president of Ghana, voted back to presidency. In Brazil, previously, President Lula da Silva has been voted back into presidency. In America, President Trump has returned into the White House. In South Africa, President Zuma will return to the Union buildings. That's what we are anticipating. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start sharing because this is it's a very long kind of. Let me share this. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This is the speech that I'm.
Fanele ukuthi uthathe isikhathi usemncane ungakazi ukuthi kwenzekani. Ufike lapho khona usuqala ukubona khona. Phinde futhi ufunde ukuhamba. Phinde futhi ufunde ukukhuluma, kuthatha isikhathi eside. Akujwayelekile eqinisweni. Angikhumbula ukuthi seke kwakhona i-political party emhlabeni jikelele eseyake yazalwa kwathi ngonyaka yabe isiphethe isizwakala ukuthi khona. It is for the first time.
President Zuma there speaking about very historic moment that happened in South Africa. There's never mentioning that there's never been a political party in the whole world which within a year of formation took over the politics, or within a year of formation becomes a force, or be able to gather such an amount of votes. For the first time, it is happening in the whole world. That's what President Zuma is saying. They're talking in vernacular in Zulu, saying no, under normal circumstance, people would expect a child to first crawl, and then walk, and then grow, teach the child quite a lot of issues. But at the end of the day, the MK party did not follow all that tradition. The MK party became a huge organization overnight. In less than 6 months of its formation, contested election and took over 14%, of which this is just the official number. You will understand why we say this is the official number.
Lokho ke kusho likhulu uma uthatha umlando wethu. Kusho likhulu. I'm happy that today we are here in the gala dinner. We did not just say, let us come and eat, but we must eat. It's a matter of must. But what we thought we needed to do was to accept a reality. The reality is that this organization is very young. It is still in the process of putting itself together. We cannot say we've done everything. There are many things we are still doing to make it an organization of the people of this country. That will be the organization that will take this country to its final goal, where we have not been able to arrive. Based on that, we thought it was an important day for us to bring our members, supporters, everybody else, to accept the reality that we are just 1 year old. And therefore, in a short space of time, in no way can we say we have sufficient resources to carry our struggle forward. And felt that on this day, when we would be having friends, comrades, and everybody else, we do need to make the point that for now, we are very poor. We don't have money. Yes, it is a fact. We don't have money. And
Some people like saying that the MK party is funded by Russian machinery, but President Zuma saying the MK party, this is the truth about the MK party. They don't have enough. They don't have money. It's a poor organization. Uh, that's why they actually failed to get buses to go to other provinces to Moses Mabeda. That is the reason why they did not take people from other provinces. That's why they were forced to fill up Mabeda using the people from KZN only. Even with the sabotage that happened with trains, buses, and people being stopped on their way to the stadium, roadblocks being conducted just to delay people from arriving at the stadium. The stadium was full to capacity. The numbers, the estimated numbers, they estimate that around 70,000 people attended the MK rally, the MK 1 year celebration in Moses Mabhida. So President Zuma here, this is quite important, announcing that the MK party does not have enough money to run its affairs, pleading with black people, pleading with South Africans or anybody who's got resources to put their resources together and help the MK party to expand. Thank you very much for joining, Luandle. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, everybody else, for joining. Click the like button and subscribe if you haven't. Today, we are talking about some of the important things that President Zuma has mentioned. I think for the first time, there's one thing that he mentioned for the first time. Um, in this gala dinner speech. I have never heard him, even during the time he was campaigning. I have never heard him mentioning this. So we will talk about the issue when we get there. But let's continue to share. MK Party does not.
we thought it was important to make the point and therefore call upon all of us, to do something, give us the wings to fly as high as we can, financially, imali. We believe that whatever we would do in making this organization have the necessary power to take the country, it will be very logical that those who can put something on the hands of this man who was standing here called Mgcini Mafa. Akona mafa nje inkomo kuphela, imali. Because this organization is destined to complete our journey to liberate South Africa. And if we don't see that, whoever, because there are many people who are not seeing things the same way, we might be the type of a nation that would be very difficult to explain and define, because the definition of any nation is defined by its clear understanding where it is going. Those who are not, they lose the destination and go to any other place, and that will never come right. We in MK believe we have taken the last route to the final destination. And we cannot fail. Such nations don't fail. This is an opportunity we have been given by our ancestors, by our God, by our angels, if you want. They've given us the last opportunity to make South Africa to be what it is. South Africa is a powerful country. It's a country that needs people like us. It's a country that is respected in the world because it is in a place that is the best of many in the world. It is a country that must do things the right way.
There's what he's saying, President Zuma, saying that South Africa is a country which is best from many. Besides our mineral, the reason why white people decided to settle in South Africa other than in any other African country, they decided to take over South Africa and govern it on their own. They wouldn't put a proxy in South Africa. They had to govern it on their own. The major reason is the Cape Point, the Cape Harbor. That Cape Harbor is the shortest route to any destination across the world. From the Cape Point, there's no destination that you can't reach. From the Cape Point, there's no place where you can't reach through water. It's the shortest destination to every part of the world. That is the reason why white people decided to settle in Cape Town. And that is the reason why the white people decided to govern Cape Town on their own, because uh, Cape Town Harbor is a major point for them to transport all the goods that they are looting from Africa into Europe for processing. Uh, Cape Point is a very critical place for white people. Besides our mineral, white people, the British, when they settled in the Cape, they decided to take the Cape and give the white, the Afrikaners, the upper part of South Africa. But when they realized that the Afrikaners have discovered gold, have discovered that there's gold in South Africa, they decided to also took over the inland. But the main point that they wanted to take over as white people was the Cape Point. They wanted to control that place, and they still control it to date. Trillions and trillions of dollars. Ships are not even paying tax at that point. These big companies that are shipping our minerals, our golds, our resources, all of this, they're not even paying tax on the route there when they refuel their ships.
We are therefore happy that this party has done something unusual, that in a short space of time, not even on the short space of time, at the call to our nation that let us come together, the unusual behavior emerged where South Africans said, we don't need Mkhonto weSizwe to recruit us. We are going to it on our own. That was an indication that this party is not just a party thought out by somebody. I think the time for the ancestors of this country and the angels of this country and the God said the time has come. Many of us can tell very sad stories about our life with regard to the fighting of our people for liberation of South Africa. If you look back, you'll realize that our ancestors were highly political, managed to respond to what the oppressors had done in our country. Correctly so. One of the points they made, you might have thought it would never be made. They said, we in South Africa, the black people, should come together and unite in order to succeed to defeat the oppressor. Very, very important point that was made.
Very, very important. President Zuma mentioning that our ancestors in 1910 decided to form an organization which will help them to fight, which will help them to unite in the fight against the colonial masters. Let's remember previously South Africa in the old times, there were nothing to unite people. There was no technology to for people to know each other easily like that. So people were separated according to their clans, according to their surnames. But this call was made under those circumstances unimaginable at that time. They made a call to say black people should unite in order to defeat this enemy. Up to today, since from 1910, black people have failed decimally to unite. Basically, I would say there has been other people who have hidden the call, who started uniting that was the start. After the start of the ANC, it was the start of their fight against colonialism in the whole of the African continent. That resulted in white people handing over power to proxies to the liberation movement. But the liberation movement first had to be under their control. That's what white people have done. President Zuma is calling for the unity of black people. He's calling for the unity of black people in South Africa in order to defeat the white system and colonialism, which is currently uh, making black people suffer in South Africa. Uh, so far, black people in the past 500 years, black people have failed to unite. The reason black people have failed to unite, their enemy is always around to ensure that he pays others among us to divide us. Now, in South Africa, the only thing that makes sense is what President Zuma is saying. If you are a black person, and I don't mind if you are a white person, if you are a black person, you should be able to hear the call of President Zuma when he says, "Let us unite." Otherwise, it is abnormal. You are in an abnormal situation. If you refuse unity of black people, then you are in an abnormal situation. That's somehow a very questionable uh, stance, because uh, there's no valid reason. There wouldn't be any valid reason for black people not to unite. If the EFF and the MK party can unite, black people can easily defeat their white system. President Julius Malema, the CIC of the EFF, is well aware of that fact, but he refused the unity and tried to create non-existing arguments about President Zuma's corruption. Non-existing arguments about President Zuma, who did not unite people in 2009 or in 2011 or whatever year. Unfortunately, there's a lot of black people who buy the story. There's a lot of black people who cannot be able to source knowledge or to understand, to decode what these people are saying. The unity of black people in South Africa is critical for us to be able to defeat the system. But one man who is supposed to play the role of uniting, who's got a lot of black people in his organization, the CIC of the EFF, rejecting the call for uniting black unity, saying it is fake. Let's continue with the speech, because President Zuma is saying a lot of things here.
And indeed, led by our traditional leaders and our pastors of the time, and supported by the whole country, established an organization called the African National Congress. Our ancestors, I believe, they had given it a thought that remain a historic kind of activity ever done in the continent. That organization influenced the entire African continent. That was the beginning of the Africans in the continent to establish themselves, to fight for their freedom. And indeed, at a given time, Africa was liberated. And South Africa was among those at the tail end of it. We were all together. But because those who came to oppress us felt they could not leave continent of Africa unattended to, they created all very clever things and systems and everything. For an example, instead of saying to us, here is your country, take it back, they didn't say so. They said, you can't write, you cannot rule these countries because you don't know how to run countries. The fact that they found us running our countries was not an issue. And therefore said, okay, we'll give you 1 year to practice how to run a country. They called it self-government, to teach you whether you can run a country. And you were expected to pass the test. And after passing the test, you will then be given the right now to run your country. But what was not happening was the oppressors telling you how the laws should be, how you should behave, that you still have a mother country that in the past oppressed you. They still took the economy into their hands and told you what to do, what not to do. Some of the leaders who fought were angry about this and started saying, sorry, we want to do it as we want. When they realized that was happening, they bought others of our own to create what was called the coup d'etats, who in
The coup d'etats. The coup d'etats. For the first time, President Zuma talking about the coup d'etats that were created by the Americans. I did not, initially, I did not understand who created the coup d'etats. The coup d'etats were created, and for the reason that any other African person who stand for the truth, they give arms to their somebody whom they buy. They use money to buy people and give arms to them to come and defeat you, to come and topple you, take you out of government, and have their fake people in place. This is how they have been surviving since the start of the 1960s, because Africans started gaining this fake liberation since in the 1960s. The Americans and the British, when they realized that there are some among the Africans who are refusing to be governed through the laws of the British, they started this issue of coup d'etats. These coup d'etats What is a coup d'etat? A coup d'etat. It's taking the government using methods which are not approved by the system. The approved method by the system is democracy. You have to be voted in. What Ibrahim Traore did in Burkina Faso, it's a coup d'etat. What happened in Burkina Faso was taught by the French. The French people taught Africans how to conduct coup d'etats. Now, Ibrahim Traore has done it against them. Mali has done it against them. Niger has done it against them. So the coup d'etats have been happening, has started. This is very, very important. So even in South Africa, they did the same thing in 1994 when the ANC in 1990 gained the liberation. In 1990, when the ANC was unbanned, the countries which were supporting the ANC were the countries in which communism was practiced. Capitalism was not allowed. And in Russia, that was what was happening. So Russia had just fallen. Go back, who is this? The last president of Russia in 1990 or 1992, Gorbachev or something, who was an American agent in Russia, told the ANC that he will no longer sponsor the ANC with arms or money to fight the apartheid government. So the ANC had no choice because at that time they did not have money, they did not have uh, people to support them with intelligence. The West have refused to support the ANC. The British have refused to support the ANC because are the ones who have colonized you. How will they support your liberation? The Americans have refused to support black people in South Africa because they were the ones who are mining. The Russians who were working with the ANC were now toppled, and capitalism was implemented in Russia. So basically, the ANC did not have a choice because it did not have a standing in the world. It did not have a partner, an international partner who is going to help them to defeat white people. So they were negotiating with their hands tied. But President Zuma was hoping. He kept quiet and sat there and realized that the country is now being taken through a coup d'etat, and just relax and wait with the hope that in the future uh, the young people are going to realize that this is fake and then take over the governance of their country. I want to let me recognize Nkosana Fulani. Shout out to you. Salute to the royalty. Thank you very much, Mr. Shongwe. These are supporters of the channel. Thank you very much. Great day. And thank you very much for everybody else who is joining. Let me give an acknowledgement as well. These are the people that actually keeps me talking. Kotatso Maila from Midlands in Zone 8 in Soweto sent me a message and said, President Mngoni Mkonto, I've been following you, my brother. Thank you for your teachings. This is, thank you very much. I think she's very kind, or he's very kind. I'm not sure if he's female or male, but he's very kind. Thank you very much. And these are the people who keeps me talking. If there are other people who are learning something, that's why I come out here to talk. Mr. Shongwe says MK addresses issues that have been marginalized by the elites. The present political setup does not care for the rural poor, traditional landless. Therefore, MK must take their initiative. Mr. Shongwe saying, I agree. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely agree. That is the reason why the MK party is formed in the first place. So I wanted to elaborate on the issue of the coup d'etat. In 1994, it was the transition was not a smooth transition. It was a coup d'etat conducted in a very professional way by the white people who've been conducting coup d'etats since the 1960s. They have been conducting coup d'etats uh, since in Europe on their existence. That's how they have been existing. In Africa, we did not have a supreme kingdom as such. We had big kingdoms, but we did not have the creation of super kingdoms was created by the white people when they wanted to take over the lands of black people during the wars of um, displacing black people. For the white people to take over the land, they had to create wars among black people in order to displace uh, black people from their areas. Thank you very much there, Kosana. Let's go on and share. I just wanted to emphasize the
In other words,
yes.
we're given every power to overthrow the government of the people that they had fought for and created what was called the kind of fellows who were mad in their heads. Those were too clever. Some of them were given, even soldiers for that matter, to overthrow and rule and therefore take Africa back to where it came from. I'm sure many of us who care to look at Africa will agree that Africa is no longer the Africa that was a few years ago. That is what has led to some young people say to other countries who had colonized them to say sorry, move out of our countries. To show that we don't see things the way we are supposed to see what was clearly coup d'etats that were undertaken by the big countries. We could all agree because our leaders were being taken away, some people were being brought in, And it was not what we had been fighting for. It was difficult for people to survive because with all the support from the big countries, it was not easy. Where is Dr. Nkrumah, one of the most vocal leaders about Africa, who understood where to go, what we needed to do? We can ask many more. You can ask, where are the Samora Machels? What happened to him? You can even ask more questions. And leaders in the continent changed to become something else. And were in trouble. Some of us who were released or who got our independence at the end believed this will never happen in our country. Partly also because we thought we understand we've got deep politics in South Africa. We're very clear. If many countries thought that South Africa was the best, and we all did, we never thought any wrong things will happen. But what happened? 20 years, and the third one saw us following the same route. I'm sure you all remember that the people of South Africa met in the 1950s and developed a document called the Freedom Charter, which was saying how we are going to rule this country. It was a decision of the people of this country. When we were asked to negotiate, we believed it was part of a passage that you went through to our final thing. But instead of us moving forward, nobody has ever talked about the Freedom Charter, which said,
Basically, this is very sad, it's very sad. I wonder if we can have access to the to the private sessions where negotiations were happening. I wish we could have, because at the end of the day, because they were conducting coup d'etats, 90% of the people who ended up negotiating for South Africa's freedom, representing the ANC, were apartheid spies. So how can an apartheid spy negotiate the freedom of black people? So it was basically a coup d'etat which was conducted in South Africa in 1994, pretending like there is a vote. For the first time, President Zuma, not missing his word, mentioning exactly that these coup d'etats were sponsored by Americans and given arms, and Americans and the British were sponsoring all these coup d'etats. There's no leader in Africa or no president in Africa who has ever mentioned that the Europe is the one which is conducting coup d'etats in Africa. They don't mention it. They can't say it. President Zuma is the first leader to talk about this. Mr. Victor Shong was saying NATO remains determined to frustrate all efforts towards African liberation using neoliberal ideologies and money. NATO is the alliance of the armies of Europe plus America. The people who are fighting the war in the Ukraine against Russia. The people who killed Muammar Gaddafi. That is NATO. Obama and NATO are the ones who eliminated, removed President Muammar Gaddafi because he was the only radical remaining in Africa. He was the only one. It was the only free zone. It was the only zone in Africa which was free. Today it's chaos. It was the only country which did not owe IMF a single cent. It was the only country in the world or in Africa. In the world, we've got other countries that are very rich that does not borrow money, like there are Hindu countries and some Muslim countries. They don't take money from the IMF, but very few, very limited number of countries which does not take money from the International Monetary Fund. So, uh, of course, neoliberal ideologies is about the IMF, it's about capital. Uh, what is shocking about the white system or the white people, they are not able to produce a single thing without uh, making other people suffer. They are not able to produce anything without creating suffering to others. They cannot create technology. They cannot create a single cell phone without killing people in the Congo. They don't have a thinking that this can be achieved without creating suffering in the world. Their thinking, their mental setup is that of distraction, not that of contributing. That's how they think. All of these things that they are doing, uh, it can be achieved. They can be rich as much as they want. They can share the resources of Africa with the Africans without. There's a lot. Africa is a very rich place. There's a lot of resources enough for every human being in the planet. Africa is the cradle of humankind. It's where humans have started. So it's the motherland. The motherland, Africa, is the one which created any other nation.
The people must govern. If I asked you, are we governing today? Of course, some can say yes. But I'll tell you, that is short of understanding what freedom is all about. Nobody talks about the Freedom Charter today, which says we must be equal, because we are not equal. Nobody today can say the land is in our hands, because it is not. There are many things we have identified as telling us we are not yet free. Of course, we hoped that as the young people come understanding more things, we are going to move forward. But instead of moving, we have in fact retreated back to something we never thought it will ever be. The organization that is respected by the entire Africa, by the world. Today, we who joined it and were ready to die, and under its leadership, many people died and many spent years and years in prison. Suddenly, those freedom fighters decided to say, the former oppressors are our brothers. We are with them. We are going to rule together, irrespective of the fact that we are starving, we are dying, we are everything.
Uh, President Zuma's hope on young people um, is genuine. He was hoping that young people are going to change the country for good. But what happened is the white system was very, very intelligent in dealing with black youth. They've introduced to the youth a very useless kind of lifestyle that makes young people highly ineffective, making them stupid, making them follow things that does not really benefit them or their families or the country. Young people have become alcoholics, and this has been done strategically through the destruction of the black family. Because a child who grows up without a father uh, probably will become a substance abuser. If they become successful, they will become uh, they will normally become like a woman. They will be very fearful, like women, if they are not gays themselves. Any boy child who grows up with their mother will not have the element that are brought by the father into the life of that person, of that child. So the child will be more orientated to be female. That's why we've got a lot of people at the moment who are more orientated to feminine characteristics, because many people grows up with single mothers. So they have taken the black woman and taken her to work, to slave as well. It was the black man who was taken for slavery. Now the black woman has also been taken to slave. The programs that are running on the television, violent programs, only to inspire young people to become alcoholics, to become uh, uh, um, drug abusers. So most of the young people, if you see young people, especially in townships, they are always dancing. They are always dancing, even if there's no song playing. They are, like you would see them dancing, because they have been orientated into some kind of useless kind of life. White people are still looting the resources. They are loading the gold. They are loading the platinum, sending it to the Maputo to the Maputo harbor, and also sending it to the Durban harbor, the Cape harbor. That's what white people are doing while we are drinking every Friday, dancing and sleeping with everybody everywhere. It has become a lifestyle for people to be sexually reckless, which was not the lifestyle of black people before uh, 1994. It was not so common. So the strategy that they have implemented in order to tame the black youth has worked. President Zuma's hope could no longer be sustained because young people, um, the CIC himself, Julius Malema, is a product of a dysfunctional family. That's why he does not respect people, because he did not grow in a family environment that has both the mother and the father, which was created. It was not his creation, it was the creation of apartheid. So he's suffering from that as well, from growing. So the child is, he either becomes a radical, or he becomes gay, or he becomes a drug abuser and alcoholic. Normally, if you follow the people who are drug abusers, the nyaopes, the alcoholics, if you follow their stories, they come from uh, single mothers. So the system has strategically brainwash the people, brainwash the young people. Now, young people don't have the energy to fight uh, for the resources. They only have energy to dance at night and energy to sleep around, because basically that's what normally a black child now is orientated to. I was so shocked. One friend of mine told me that a teacher advised her that she should, because there was a meeting, she saw a child watching pornography on WhatsApp, and the WhatsApp was from the school. And then she went to the teacher at the school and complained about it. And the teacher said, you should start introducing these children to this thing. She's now old. She's only 9 years. The teacher said, you should introduce this child to this thing. She's now old. This is what the white system has done to us. This is what they have done to us. Mr. Victor Shaw was saying genocide against blacks is multifaceted, multifaceted, dysfunctional family, drugs, alcohol, violence, crime, jail, unemployment, which is aggregated by the flood of foreigners who are intended to outnumber them. I don't have any a problem with people moving around. That's not, and I don't have any problem with people being gay. I don't have problems with gay. I must put that disclaimer. Anyone should be able to live the life they want to live. If they want to be gay, let them be gay. But a country or uh, people who become gay because of political manipulation, people who come to the country because of the plan of the white system to manipulate black people into continuing to destroy themselves, taking foreigners from outside the country, making them slaves in the farms and also in the mines, Whenever they want to eliminate them, they take the guns and eliminate them. They've demonstrated that in Marikana. They're demonstrating it now in the Northwest province, the Zamazamas. The government has taken even a campaign. They call it Operation Valam God, meaning they put concrete on the they put concrete seal in the opening of the in the hole where people are underground. The government closing them out to get so that they don't get food or water. We saw it in KwaZulu Natal in 2021. People say, people normally say people died. 400 people, about 400 people died in KwaZulu Natal when they kidnapped President Zuma to jail in 2021 when the white system uh, kidnapped, the mafias kidnapped President Zuma, took him to jail without any crime, without any trial. Just send him straight to jail, take him straight to jail, which was, uh, I still regard it as a kidnapping case. So President Zuma was kidnapped by the system, put into jail for no apparent reason. People were disgusted. People started fighting. And when that happened, the system went out to eliminate and show example what they are going to do to black people when they try to support President Zuma. 400 people were killed. They say people died. They don't say they were killed. As if it was a natural death which happened on those 400 black people. It happened in Marikana. It happened, it's still happening um, even now. It's still happening in South Africa, in our eyes. Young people are quiet about it. It's just taken like, okay, people died in, it's like that. In KwaZulu Natal, it's like that. That's it. Let me continue to share so that we can continue. We'll start, we will
This is what made
spend time
us to
about, I'll
feel.
create another video.
We who are still alive and our heroes have died. It would be something worse for us to say, fine, let us just go because was pet. And it was clear, if you take the role played by some, because I don't want to say every white is playing a wrong thing. No. There are some white people who seem to have been planning for this country all the time with all the money in their hands. And they succeeded to recruit some of the people. And they are actually running the country. There are companies here in South Africa that have everything you can think of, including the broom to sweep. Is owned by the biggest companies and people in this country. I'm just forgetting their names. Who are they? Unfortunately, you will help me. And therefore, the decision to say, let us free ourselves, let us create our own vehicle, because the one that was given to us by our ancestors is now led by people who are no longer us. They don't look like us. They look different. Took a decision, a very serious decision, partly because we did not forget why many of us joined the struggle to liberate the black people. We were faced with a serious problem. What do we do? Do we accept being taken back to oppression? Or should we fight to liberate ourselves completely? Some of us felt that almost many of us are feeling the pain and want to change the situation. Was it easy? No. Know why? Because those who have been carrying the instruments of oppressing us still had those instruments and had taken some of our own to be something else. So it was a question of what do we do? I can just tell you a small story. I attended the African National Congress last business of saying, konje kuthiwa yini lento esuke sihlangene kuyo? Oh, national conference. Yes, national conference in Johannesburg. As I must raise them in the commissions. I said, but I know commissions. You guys at times tell people in the commissions what to write, what not to write. Say, no. Say it all. Say we authorized you. And this is what I did. I criticized the organization. I had a lot to say, but I said I must put it within a space that will be understood. And that's what I did. I attacked the president in that speech of mine, and I attacked his colleagues, the leadership. Hoping that when we go back to the meeting, then the debate is going to start. Once the comrades saw my input, they did something was never been done since 1912. To kuthiwa yini ma umhlangana ume kancane? Agenda. Are you sure? No. The meeting was postponed, not adjourned. Adjourned is when you go for tea, you adjourn, you come back. It was postponed indefinitely. In other words, the discussions were stopped because I was going to raise the matter and tell them this is not what we vowed for, we die for. In any way, that meeting, which was supposed to sit, never sat. It's taken that let us not continue with this bus. This bus is now dead. Let us take another bus. But we had to give a thought because we could not say we are establishing a party which will mean nothing. I mean, there were many things that people could have said, like, for an example, you could have said this is a revolution. The elections with two-thirds majority and do everything for ourselves. The elections with two became when many of us felt this is a time for us to take the last move to liberate ourselves. And this is what we have to do.
Fail, we don't have a choice. We cannot fail. We cannot fail to liberate black people. There's no option of failure. If black people don't realize, if you means taking control or taking over now, it means it's over. Colonialism will only take a radical form now. Slavery is going to take a radical form. Slavery through technology, through the AI, it's going to create a mess in black people. There is no choice. Black people cannot fail to unite and defeat the white system. Those who are still talking against black unity, we must all realize that President Zuma is like the mother bee who is available for all the other small bees which wants to create a super home, which wants to fight back to the system. If South Africa fails, the rest of the continent is not going to be sustained. The freedom that has been achieved in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, it's only a matter of time the European comes with the guns again and remove them and put another person. But if you take the process through the election, not through the gun, if you take it through the elections, through the unity, not actually through the election, through the unity. Because as well in Ibrahim Traore is trying to unite his people. Because without unity, it cannot be sustained. So those are small pockets of freedom. I mean, 3 out of how many countries that France is controlling? 3 out of about, I think it's about 18 countries in which France is a colonial master. So it's only 3 out of 18, if I'm not mistaken. That is very small. And if they can just go and defeat one, if they can just go and defeat just one country there, if they can go and eliminate Ibrahim Traore, it's over. We don't have a choice. Black people don't have a choice. Let us not listen to Julius Malema, who says black people should not unite behind President Zuma because he did not call for unity in 2009. What a stupid kind of argument. President Zuma says we should never insult other people when we talk about politics. This is not insulting, it's exposing. I'm exposing the EFF for what it is, and I'm exposing those people who are against the unity of black people, so that those who've got ears to hear can hear, those who've got ability to absorb the truth can be able to run away uh, from the apartheid. Basically, if you refuse black unity, what do you want? What else do you want? How do you think black people can ever free themselves if you say they should not be united? And if you are a black person and saying black people should not be united, who do you work for? It should be questioned. Who do you work for? Who is your employer? Black people in South Africa, we don't have a choice. We only have to unite behind the MK party. Anyone who is feeling that, who has been fed a lie that President Zuma is corrupt. President Zuma is not in government at the moment, so he cannot be corrupt as we speak. We have heard that Ramaphosa he's got money in his sofas. CIC Julius Malema has got no problem working with Ramaphosa, but he's got a problem working with President Zuma to unite black people. He's got a problem working with the MK party to unite black people. He's got a big role to play. He has the ability to gather the slaves, and he's gathered lots of slaves under his name, which is abusing. He's abusing that uh, privilege, abusing it against black people, saving the enemies of black people. The people who does not want black people to unite is the white people, because they know the unity of black people would mean that they will take over their land, take over their mines, take over their economy, take over everything that black people have been were wanting to take over. There's never been any country in Africa which has been liberated. This is for the first time where Africans, he's even mentioning it, President Zuma here, that is for the first time that Africans have some young people in other countries is talking about President Captain Ibrahim Traore taking over the land using the barrel of the guns. Click the like button and subscribe. Sorry. Let's click the like button and subscribe. My name is Mngoni Mkonto. Normally, people do forget to subscribe. They just watch and at the end, this and say this is a nice video, but did not subscribe. I urge everybody to subscribe to the Royal Opinion. I regard each and everybody who subscribe here as a royal, as part of the kingdom, because I respect everyone who comes across this platform. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming to join us in this important sitting to analyze President Jacob Zuma's speech. Um, while President Zuma is still alive and working, this is history in the making. We are recording for the sake of the future. Whatever messages that you are sending here, you need to know that the messages are going to stay, if not removed by the YouTube channel forever, they are going to be reflected in these platforms if this thing exists forever. These messages are going to exist. So whatever that you are sending, I want to say uh, actually thank you, because the royal opinion has made some gains or some achievement for this year. I want to little before I go just mention some of the things. Just mention some of the things that the royal opinion has been able to achieve. I'm just checking for the, yeah, this is the message. The royal opinion this year alone, we've gained 2007 subscribers since the start of the year. We've had 267,000 views. Our We've got 257 uploads into YouTube. Our streams or our videos were liked 5,293 times. 1,323 comments were sent. 983 uh, shares. 983 times our videos were shared with other people. Thank you very much. I want to say thank you very much to all the people who have been sharing. Thank you very much to all the people who have been subscribing. We want to take the road to 3,000 subscribers. Please click the like button and subscribe. I honor all the subscribers. Or all that those achievements does not come from me. I did not send those messages. I did not share the videos, but it was shared 983 times. I could not share it that much with anybody. So thank you very much to all those who are sharing. Please continue sharing. Click the like button and subscribe. This will be the end of the live stream. Next time we will meet and we will talk. Enjoy your night.